Then God said, or on day 5, let the waters teem with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens. God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarmed after their kind, and every winged bird after its kind. And God saw that it was good. There was evening and there was morning, a 5th day. And I find it interesting that birds and fish were made on the same day. When I like to watch those programs on TV that they're all about animals. And penguins are so cool. Aren't penguins cool? It's like they were not made for land. And they can't fly, the poor pathetic things. They call them birds, but they can't fly. Okay, if you want to call it a bird, I thought if you were a bird, you flew. But they got feathers, they lay eggs, so they call them birds. They fly in the water. Have you ever seen them in the water? They're graceful, they're beautiful, they really do well in the water. It's kind of poetic that which flies through the air and that which flies through the water was made on the same day. I just think that's kind of cool. So, we got to draw some birds. Put in a number 5 for our day 5, and put in some birds. And put in some fish swimming through the sea. Now, if you're artistic, you can put a bird flying through the sea and draw a penguin. Me, not so much. By the way, I got all this concept from answersingenesis.org. It's a brilliant little way of memorizing and learning the creation order. And that's one of the places I go to when I do research where people say the science and the Bible conflict. I go there because there's article after article after article written by scientists, good, brilliant men who are also men of God who think the Bible's true. And they give a different perspective than those who think the Bible is false. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things and beasts of the earth after their kind, and it was so. And God saw that it was good. So on day 6, you want to put the number 6 and draw some animals. That blank area I told you to leave blank, you got to put a dinosaur there. Some people say, Steve, if the Bible's true, what about the dinosaurs? I'm like, what about the dinosaurs? Dinosaurs are mentioned in the Bible. At least 2. Now that is a real quandary for people who say humans and dinosaurs are separated by millions of years. Because it was only a couple hundred years ago that we even coined the term dinosaur, which means terrible lizard. They dug up some bones and said, hey, what's this? And they called it a dinosaur. So then how did Job, who wrote around 4,000 years ago, talk about dinosaurs? Job talked about him as an eyewitness. I met a man who had a cast. That's you pour goop into something so you can have an image of it. In a riverbed, and I think it's in Texas, they found dinosaur prints and human prints right next to each other, which is no surprise for somebody who believes in the Bible. But from the other side, they say, oh no, there's millions of years separating humans from dinosaurs. And we'll look more at that probably in the next coming weeks. But listen to what Job said. Look at the behemoth. Behemoth is a huge creature. Look at the behemoth, which I made along with you, which feeds on grass like an ox. What strength it has in its loins, what power in the muscles of its belly. Its tail sways like a cedar. Its bones are tubes of bronze, its limbs like rods of iron. It ranks first among the works of God. Any creature that comes to your mind with the tail like a tree, well, that one we looked at a minute ago. Now, when I was in school, they called that thing a brontosaurus. But I guess they took off its head and gave it a different head and then called it a brachiosaurus. See, science is always changing. They're always realizing that they get it wrong, and then they make it right. Now, I don't want anybody leaving here this morning thinking I disrespect science. I think science is brilliant. I think humans are brilliant. God made people with the ability to do amazing things and to think great and deep thoughts. But sometimes we get it wrong. Right? Anybody have a Windows PC? The technology that does this is amazing. But every once in a while, it just Doesn't work. I got this cool cell phone. How many of you got cell phones? Aren't they amazing? I upgraded to a BlackBerry. I can surf the internet on this. I can video myself and send it to somebody, and they can see a video of me. These things are amazing. Sometimes they just stop working. You have to turn it off, take out the battery, count to 10, put the battery back in, then it works again. I got a PC in my office. Mac people love PCs because it gives them all sorts of things to joke about. And Mike the Mac Tech the other day was telling me, yeah, with PCs, sometimes you just got to wipe them clean and start over again. Every few years, they just start messing up. Yes, they do. That people could come up with that technology is amazing. But it changes. How many of you have heard those commercials on TV about medications being withdrawn because people are dying and getting cancer? Hands up. See, science is great, but they make mistakes. All right, they researched fossils. They came up with some theories. Okay, but if they contradict the Bible, I'm thinking somebody's wrong, and I'm not thinking it's the Bible. A la Brontosaurus, Brachiosaurus. What do they call it now? Does anybody know? The big dinosaur with the long neck and the big tail? What's it called now? Does anybody know? I don't know. I think it's got a new name now. We'll just call it Big Cedar-tailed Dinosaur. And it was big. Most of you have probably never seen a cedar tree. I saw my first cedar tree in England. Apparently, when people went to the Middle East 100 or so years ago, they brought back some cedars of Lebanon, which are famous in the Bible, planted them in England. I had never seen such big, beautiful trees in my life. They were amazing. When you think of the perfect tree, that's the cedar. Huge, massive, leafy, just beautiful. You can see it from miles away. That's the tree that Job said reminded him of the dinosaur. Huge. And you've seen, dinosaur movies. They eat the leaves off the tops of the trees because these dinosaurs were huge. Giraffes are small compared to them. There's no problem with dinosaurs. They're mentioned in the Bible. Dinosaurs are and were real. Thing is, animals go extinct. We got things on TV right now saying, hey, if we're not careful, these certain animals, they're going to go extinct. Animals go extinct. And it makes sense that something huge as a dinosaur go extinct. Running out of food's easy to do when you're that big. Dodo birds gone extinct. All sorts of things go extinct. Dinosaurs went extinct, but sort of. Because the definition of a dinosaur is something that is extinct, really. But I read this article not too long ago. It said these fishermen pulled up this fish that was extinct millions of years ago. So that's a dinosaur. But it was alive. The fishermen caught it. So what's that do to the theory that dinosaurs are separated by humans by millions of years? You'd think you'd rewrite your textbooks at this point. No, they named this a living fossil. And then they find plants that they say were extinct millions of years ago because they saw them in fossils. And then they find the plant alive in the jungle of Peru and they go, wow, it's a living fossil. There are dozens, if not scores, of living fossils in the textbooks today. I'm thinking somebody ought to rewrite the textbooks. Their theory is wrong. Humans and dinosaurs were not separated by millions of years. We got eyewitnesses writing books about them. Okay? They weren't separated by millions of years. I saw this on TV. The great white shark hasn't evolved in millions of years. So you're saying it's a dinosaur? No, it's the great white shark. And how about an alligator? You've ever seen crocodile? They'll sucker 20 foot long. If that's not a dinosaur, I don't know what is. It's a huge, stinking, terrible lizard. Because it's not extinct, they won't call it a dinosaur. They got some freaky looking things at the zoo. You go to the Tucson Zoo, they got this big thing, looks like a cow with no fur and a big horn on its nose, kind of like a hippopotamus cow thing. And they call it a rhinoceros. Rhinoceros. It's funny games we play with words, isn't it? A rhinosaur. There are dinosaurs. We got them in the Tucson Zoo. We just don't call them dinosaurs because they're not extinct. Somebody's got it wrong, and it's not the Word of God that's got it wrong.